Let me start off this video by saying I'm not a smoker, I'm not a vapor, I've never touched a cigarette, and I don't use nicotine. But I think Canadians should have a choice. You see, in most reasonable countries, nicotine pouches are sold freely in corner stores, supermarkets, and online. And that's why I'm calling on the Canadian government to free the nicotine and break Big Pharma's grip on Canadian policy. If you agree with me, go to freethenicotine.com and sign our petition. Now, let's talk about nicotine pouches. If you don't know, they're tobacco-free, smoke-free, and a proven safer alternative for adult nicotine users. And here in Canada, well, nicotine pouches are treated like a controlled substance, locked away behind pharmacy counters, sold one can at a time, like you're asking for fentanyl. In fact, I think it's probably easier to get fentanyl in some parts of this country than nicotine pouches. And it's not because nicotine pouches are dangerous, but it's because big nicotine gum made by Big Pharma, well, they don't want the competition. And the hypocrisy, well, it's astounding. Cigarettes, you can buy a carton at a time at any gas station, no questions asked, as long as you're old enough. Beer, wine, liquor, sold everywhere from grocery stores to airports to convenience stores. Cannabis, brick and mortar stores all across the country. Government issued fentanyl, it's available under safe supply and harm reduction programs. Tobacco-free nicotine pouches, though, I'm sorry, you'll need to go to a pharmacy and you can only buy one can at a time, if they even have it. This isn't public health, it's public stupidity, and it's written by lobbyists, and it's keeping Canadians hooked on carcinogenic forms of nicotine. All you have to do is follow the money. Nicorette gum is owned by Kenvue, a Johnson & Johnson spinoff. For years, and I mean years, they've been lobbying Health Canada to keep safer alternative nicotine pouches off the shelves, protecting their overpriced gum from competition. These lobbyists have had regular high-level meetings with senior health officials, most recently in January, November, and October last year, all under the banner of tobacco reduction. But their version of reducing tobacco means keeping cheaper, more effective harm reduction options out of Canadians' hands and forcing you to stand at a pharmacy counter to buy one can of pouches at a time. Now, here's why it matters. Nicotine pouches are tobacco-free, so there's no tar, no carcinogenic leaf. They're smoke-free, so there's no gross secondhand smoke risk. They're discreet, means you don't require smoke pits or tobacco dens for smokers and vapors at public events. They're proven safer, widely available in most European countries and in the United States as harm reduction tools. And they're potentially therapeutic. They're studied for Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, and other neurological disorders. Nicotine is addictive, sure, I concede that. But so is caffeine, and caffeine isn't banned, sold one can of coffee at a time at the pharmacy. So here's what we're demanding. End the pharmacy-only one can at a time restriction on nicotine pouches. Allow adults to buy these pouches in convenience stores, just like cigarettes, and like in most reasonable countries. And stop letting Big Pharma lobbyists decide what harm reduction tools Canadians can access. We deserve a choice and more brands. If you agree with me, go to freethenicotine.com and sign the petition. Tell your MP, tell the Carney government, tell Health Canada. It's time to break Big Pharma's grip. Let Canadians choose safer nicotine. Because if you can buy a pack of cigarettes, a bottle of vodka, and a bag of weed, or even a crack pipe from a government vending machine, you should be able to buy more than one can of nicotine at a time. For Rebel News, I'm Sheila Gunn-Reid. It's time to break Big Pharma's grip on tobacco harm reduction. Canadians should be allowed to choose safer nicotine options. They should be allowed to buy nicotine pouches in convenience stores in whatever brand they like. If you agree with me, go to freethenicotine.com and sign the petition.